when I was in high school, my youth group went on a mission trip to Chicago. And this was one of 3 mission trips that we went on. My wife went on 2 out of 3 of those trips, I believe. And we weren't married at that time, obviously. But we stopped in Indianapolis on the way to this mission trip because we were stopping for a Billy Graham crusade. Now, has anybody in here ever been to a Billy Graham crusade before, where he speaks and everything? Well, this was located in a huge basketball arena. And I believe it was where the Indiana Pacers played basketball. And it was completely packed out. I think every seat in the entire place was full. The lower arena and the upper arena were just buzzing with excitement. The entire floor was covered in chairs, and people were sitting everywhere. And I didn't really realize it at the time, but apparently our group had some kind of sweet hookup because we were sitting on the floor right in front of the stage. We had some of the best seats in the house. Well, that night Billy Graham gave a pretty rousing message, actually. And I don't actually remember what he said, but I remember what happened after his message. After his message, he gave an altar call where he invited people, maybe those who didn't know Jesus, to come and accept Christ for the first time. He also invited people to come and rededicate their lives to Jesus. And as soon as he gave the altar call, it was like clockwork. People just stood up and started making their way down towards the stage. And it was almost I think half of the arena actually just started flooding down to the floor. And the only time I've ever seen anything like this happen was at the Ichthus Music Festival. Have any of you ever been to that before? Well, at the Ichthus Music Festival, when they give altar calls there, people typically respond. You'll have thousands of people walking back to the tent to receive prayer. And the same is true with Billy Graham, I think. When he gives altar calls, people respond. And so there were hundreds of altar ministers just waiting there on the floor to receive those who came down for prayer. And many people from our group actually went to receive prayer, including myself. And we went forward to I think I made maybe a rededication of my life or something like that. And my friend Josh was there with me as well. And my friend Josh has a bit of a different memory of this story. And here's how he remembers the story happening. He said that Billy Graham gave an altar call, and the only thing that he invited people to come forward for was if they wanted to make a first-time commitment to Jesus. If you weren't a Christian, come forward and become a Christian. And after he made the altar call, my friend Josh claims that every single person in our youth group, including our youth pastors, got up, except him, by the way. He stayed in his seat because he knew what was going on. But he said everybody got up and went forward to give their lives to Jesus. And so my friend Josh says it was a bit strange that our youth pastors weren't yet Christians until that night at the Billy Graham crusade. Regardless of the details, this story is a great example of kind of what my Christian experience was like for most of my life. I would have mountaintop experiences at things like that, on retreats, at youth group, on mission trips. But I had no idea how to live life with Jesus and just walk with Christ on a day-to-day basis. I would actually go forward and rededicate my life to Christ many different times on these throughout the year, at youth group, at trips, but I didn't know how to walk with Christ day to day. I've written one song in my life. I sing a lot, but I don't write songs. And this one song is not that good, but it's funny because it really kind of shows how my life and my spiritual life was like a roller coaster in a lot of ways, up and down, up and down. And here's a little bit of the song. I'm not going to sing it. But it says, "Oh Lord, why do I feel this way? I feel so many miles away. Just yesterday I gave you my all, only to rise up and fall. Up and down, back and forth, I feel so out of sorts. Oh Lord, what can I do? I guess I need to run to you." My spiritual life was good when I was up on the spiritual mountaintop, but I had no idea how to walk with Christ on a day-to-day basis. I didn't know how to walk with Christ when I was down in the valley, or even when I was just walking on the flat, level ground of normal life. A couple of years ago, Aaron, he hired a spiritual director named Gallaher Carney to come and work with the staff at the Rock. And there was one of his visits, he would meet with each of the staff individually to provide some spiritual guidance for us. And I remember my meeting with Gallaher Carney, and one thing that I shared with him was that I was really struggling to stay grounded in prayer. I was talking about just the busyness of my life, and I was struggling to find time to spend with God. And, I felt like I was doing a lot for Jesus, but I wasn't spending a lot of time with Jesus. And so he responded to me in a peculiar way, and here's what he said. He asked me a few questions. He looked at me and he said, John, when you get up in the morning, do you take a shower? I said, yes. He said, do you brush your teeth? I'm like, oh, of course, I have to. Laura can tell you I need to brush my teeth. He said, do you put on your clothes? It's like, of course I put on my clothes. Then he said, do you use the bathroom? I said, yes. And I'm thinking in my mind, where are you going with these questions? Get to the point. And he said, here's what he said. He said, offer up prayers to God in those moments. He said, as you put on your clothes, you can pray, Jesus, as I put on my clothes, I put you on as well today. Help me to show Christ's love to others today. He said, as you take a shower and you're washing your body, you can pray, Lord, as I wash my body, I pray that you would cleanse me this morning as I start my new day. And then he said, after you've eaten some breakfast and you've had some coffee and you've woken up a bit, it's like then you can try to go spend a little bit of more time in focused prayer and reading scripture with God. And honestly, it sounded way too simple to me. It sounded way too ordinary. You mean I can honor Christ through the day-to-day and mundane task of life? And what I've grown to understand is that mature Christians are the ones who walk with Jesus through the common day-to-day task. Mature Christians are the ones who honor Christ with the small things, the ordinary things, and the common things. There's a Christian author named Eugene Peterson. And some of you may have heard of him before. He wrote The Message, which is a paraphrase of the Bible. And in one of his books, he speaks about the all of life assimilating into the one Jesus Christ. The all of parents, neighborhood, occupation, friends, prayer, children, struggles, entertainment, all the things of life coming together in the one Jesus Christ. And this means having one sole purpose in life and everything that we do, from the insignificant task of life to the big important things of life. And that one purpose is to give glory and honor to Jesus Christ and to grow closer to him. There's a famous philosopher some of you may remember from way back in school, and his name was Soren Kierkegaard. And he has a famous quote where he says that purity of heart is to will one thing, to have one purpose and passion in life. And I believe that one thing that we need to will in our life is Jesus Christ. You know, in college I learned about a monk named Brother Lawrence. And Brother Lawrence was this brilliant man. He wrote a lot, but he spent most of his time, a good portion of his life, washing dishes and doing chores. And Brother Lawrence is famous for his ability to find God in the mundane, day-to-day, routine task of life. You know, we must be reminded that the small things matter in life. And I think maybe more than the big things, honestly. As you all know, Laura and I have started this organization called Common Good. And Common Good it's a popular term, and it usually refers to this idea of a shared good for all, or something that's for the benefit of all. You know, it's about sharing and making sure that no one is left out. However, God keeps drawing my attention to another meaning and another way to look at that phrase. And it's like this: the good that is common. The good that is common. The word common can also mean ordinary. It can mean plain, unexceptional, simple. And God continues to tell me that we need to do the good that is common and ordinary. The good things that no one notices. The day-to-day kind and generous acts towards other people and towards God. In The Message, which I told you was Eugene Peterson's paraphrase of the Bible, Hebrews 13:16 reads like this. It says, make sure you don't take things for granted and go slack in working for the common good. Share what you have with others. And here's the part I want to focus on. God takes particular pleasure in acts of worship that take place in kitchen and workplace and on the streets. God takes particular pleasure in acts of worship that take place in the kitchen, on the workplace, and on the streets. Mother Teresa is a woman who has a lot of famous quotes from her life. She said a lot of really profound things. But my favorite quote is this. She said that we can do no great things, only small things with great love. And so I encourage you this morning to seek God in the day-to-day, the mundane, the ordinary. Find God in unexpected places. Honor Christ when no one is looking and no one is watching. Don't be ashamed or embarrassed or too proud to focus on the small things. The all of your life, the task, relationships, duties, interest, the things you want to do in life, all of these things, the all of life coming into unity in the one Jesus Christ. This is really the mature Christian life that I hope that I can live into. In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen.